And welcome back to Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and lying corporate media. Right here, we tell the truth no matter how painful it is. We're broadcasting live from Roseville, Minnesota, in the heart of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Good God, this place is it's just getting worse and worse every year, honest to God. And you know what? Despite the warmer weather, I'm still thinking, like, with the tax climate, rising prices, it's very challenging to be in the state. And for you that are watching from Minnesota, you know what I'm talking about. Although if you live in greater Minnesota, it's probably a lot nicer than it is in the cities. It's just terrible. But anyhow, I love Minnesota with all my heart. It's the politicians that suck. It's the people that consider themselves rulers that are ruining this metro area for sure, but the state in general. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on that diatribe. That was the worst intro ever. Why am I going on a diatribe so quickly here? That's not what the show's about. The show's actually got some interesting stuff to cover. And joining me today is Mega Jesse. How you doing there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing good. And you're right that, the state just keeps getting worse and worse. It's because of the Democrats. It's because of the rhinos. We got all kinds of stories to get into on that stuff.
Also joining us, third wheeling, is Mr. former Representative Eric Mortensen, new to the leadership team at Action for Liberty. How you doing there?
Good. Did you see the SWAT team down here at the Key Inn?
Are you serious?
Yeah, this morning.
Huh.
Yeah, two guys stole an ATM and they were held up inside the hotel and they wouldn't come out. They had SWAT team out there.
You're talking about just right down the road?
Yeah.
Yeah, that place is, it's not a hotel anymore, I don't think.
I don't know what it is. So
no, I think it's like government. I think it's like government housing now.
Oh, well.
Yeah. This area has gone to the shithole, right? That's what happens when government gets in control of things, right? The lovely Bridget reading your comments. How you doing there, Bridget?
Doing great, and I'll just add to it. I had a shopping cart in the middle of the road when I came here, so like right down the road there.
I come from the opposite direction as you guys, so I'm not privy to this stuff. Holy cow! Yeah. Dawson, did you know about that?
I had no idea. No clue.
Okay.
I don't know anything about the missing ATM or the $8,600.
They tried putting it in the shopping cart, you think, and didn't make it that far?
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised. They're trying to wheel it away.
But the people who drive around here, I've been wanting to say this for weeks, and maybe you're in this category, Bridget.
What?
The people who drive around here are crazy. Like, horrible drivers. I hate coming within a mile of this place.
Why are you accusing me of being in that category?
You just said you hit a shopping cart.
I didn't hit it. I said it's in the middle of the road.
Oh, I thought you said you hit it.
I didn't know what to do.
You
know what I hate the most? We'll get into this important topics today, but I hate Friday afternoons in the suburbs because everyone's brain shuts down, forgets how to drive. You notice that? Am I the only one that notices this? It's the worst. Yeah, literally no one's got a purpose. No one's going anywhere quick, and I'm just like, I can't get anywhere. And maybe they're going to like happy hour or something like that. Sorry, it's one of my big pet peeves. All right, important topics today. Facebook removed accounts, and this hit us at home here at Action for Liberty. We're going to get into that story. Alex Jones is back on Twitter. They call it X. We still call it Twitter. Ends up talking to Elon Musk yesterday in the Twitter Spaces, which is so interesting. We got Zelensky on Capitol Hill. Boy, if we get into that topic, I don't know if we'll get into that topic today. I'm going to go on a rant about these traitors out there in Washington, D.C. And then the Minnesota GOP State Central scam. That's why we brought Mort on the show today. He's fired up to talk about. Mega Jesse and Mort really want to talk about it so bad. We got important news to cover. The MNGOP is not the top list of things in the world right now, okay?
Well,
I know you guys are interested.
Here's the problem. The problem with is the media is covering it up, and if the media is talking about this thing at all, they're lying about what actually happened. So there needs to be patriots who set the record straight. Me and Mort are happy.
Fair enough, Jesse, but they aren't also covering the Facebook purge of conservative groups,
true.
Okay? And that to me is a bigger threat towards America than what David Hann and the gang at MNGOP did. But I'm going to get to your story because you guys want it and talk about the chair who won on a radio show saying all these lies about it. It's actually quite comical. And then insulting you guys, too. You'll appreciate that. If you want to be a part of the show, go to the Rumble comment section. And if you want to interrupt us at any time, go ahead and hit a Rumble rant. By the way, speaking of Rumble rants, I actually met Cable on T-Wall for the first time in my life at our Christmas event. And if you didn't go to that Christmas event, it was so much fun. Packed crowd. I felt bad. There's about 7 people that didn't actually get a seat, and they had to sit outside. And I offered them a T-shirt and some other stuff like a mug. It's a good problem. It's still a problem. So I really apologize if you're one of the 7. But that's a sign that, we're still pretty popular and people really like our message. And K-Wall and T-Wall sit down, and they end up sitting at the same table as Tucker and Glenn Cotton and his wife. I'm like, wow, like the hardcores of the show right there. And I got to hang out a little bit with Tucker and Glenn Cotton. Mm-hmm. Awesome people. Really appreciate you guys being part of the show every time. And I think Tucker's already in the comment section today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted
to
point out really quick, right now our YouTube numbers, we've got like 12 whole viewers on there. We're trying to get that down. I'm kind of sick of seeing so many on YouTube. Go to Rumble.
He's referencing this hater, former Senator Osmek, going, nobody watches the program. They only have 15 YouTube views. It's like, yeah, dipshit. We keep getting censored on YouTube. We don't put any money into YouTube. Anyone that knows anything knows that's the case. So these people. What does Tucker have to say?
He says, is Rumble not working today? I've been having issues with it all morning. Nothing wants to load.
Yeah, Rumble is actually, I heard there's like some targeted threats towards Rumble. But it seems like we have an audience. Is that correct right now in Rumble?
Yeah.
See, that's the problem is we can't put money and energy into YouTube because they'll inevitably censor us again. But the platform is so much better, right? When just from a tech side. That's the problem that we have. But we're cheering for Rumble, okay? Rumble's a home. We would be so much bigger and grow faster if it's just YouTube's technology and their advertising platform, because Rumble's advertising platform sucks.
Is Rumble working for you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's working for me. I was laughing because someone on YouTube said, okay, I'm leaving.
Oh, mine just all of a sudden actually stopped loading for whatever reason.
What?
Okay.
Well, says Rumble.com is currently unable to handle this request. I don't know why. So maybe my Rumble's not working.
They're handling my request.
Well, there we go. Then we have to do YouTube. Actually, we put it on Facebook too, which is problematic. So that's the first story here. Let's pull this up. I am not familiar with any corporate mainstream media talking about this, but we wrote this story. I think this was on Saturday. The Great Silent Facebook Purge of Conservative Pages. Facebook erased a page of conservative Minnesota-based group called North Star Liberty Alliance, NSLA. If you're very familiar with us, you probably know of them. NSLA is the actual host of our training. So we push a lot of activists, and quite frankly, candidates end up coming to it. We had one guy that was just at a recent training that won his city council race or school board race. I think it was city council. But we have school board, like a lot of candidates. I mean, Eric Mortensen, you were a student in this class. It seems funny now because that's a while back.
Yeah.
Now you come and you kind of give a little speech and reinforce things in it.
And I thought it was crazy when I first went to it. And then I got elected and I went, oh yeah, everything they teach is actually 100% true.
And the funny thing is, it's not Minnesota based. Like you could go anywhere. I swear to God, you could go to any country and it's the same freaking characters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it appears they did this to many others without any media outlets reporting the purge. William Beck, who was the one that alerted us to this, you guys know him as Mr. Straight-Laced. I think, is he in the comment section?
He
there
was.
you go. He'll validate it. He actually manages NSLA's media Facebook page. He's also on some of our social media, as you guys well know. William Beck's account got wiped off the internet. So basically, one of our social media guys off the internet. Now, we are close in line with North Star because they do a lot of training. Good people, good patriots behind it. Another person who also works with our social media, taken off the internet. One of our board members at Action for Liberty, taken off the internet. Now, I don't know how our page still exists. I checked right before coming on this program. It still exists on the internet. Makes me think like we're not actually, going hard enough in the paint right now. But they are starting to wipe this off, and it's not just here in Minnesota. Let's pull up the story here, Dawson. This is from Breakdown News, which seems to be an independent news source out of Arizona, and they actually covered our story, but they got some other accounts. We got Danger Disinformation is a tweet. Just heard that Facebook executed a massive purge today, terminating conservative accounts with extreme prejudice, including personal accounts. And then we've got Atomic Shaman Sweat Lodge. Great name. Today is a day that will go down in infamy, and then it shows a tweet saying your account has been disabled. So, and then it goes on to quote our article. So it seems to me, and what would be nice is some national journalists getting in this, because we just don't have the resources to go hunt down all these groups. But there's more of a story. All I know is it's completely affecting us here at Action for Liberty, because last I checked, 3 people that help us with social media have been completely wiped off the internet. Now, Eric, I don't know if they keep you on there because you're still a representative page. If you got that,
I can't believe I'm still up. I get alerts from Facebook every day saying I violated the community standards and threats to shut down my page. I assume they're bogus. It's like pranksters. But I was talking to the board member that you're referring to on Saturday, and he said that's what they used to think too, and they got booted off. So who knows?
Yeah, and I'm still getting multiple messages. I've been playing around with this on my phone and seeing what's wrong with Rumble, but it looks like Rumble isn't working. The comments aren't loading at all. So I think I might suggest that people either go on Facebook or go on YouTube. Until we can figure out why Rumble is having these problems, I would suggest that probably moving on to one of those other platforms for the immediate.
I think quite a few people moved to Facebook already. There's some comments here.
Yeah, right. And Action for Liberty, you could go to Action for Liberty as well on YouTube just to get the story. Yeah, I'm just trying to load Rumble on my computer.
What'll happen is because I don't think that Rumble. I think that Rumble is getting our live feed right now. The problem is that nobody can see it, right? Because everything's good from this computer. So at the very least, we'll upload the stream to Rumble later.
Now, here's a question. Is this going to affect our streak of Rumble rants?
Probably. If Rumble's down, that would make sense. But that's not our fault, so.
Okay, so we're relieved from I'll say we're relieved from the streak, but you guys, I guess you could still.
They can't see it on Rumble.
What are you saying?
Our Rumble is down completely.
So I know, but if they jump over to YouTube or
Tucker came over to Poop Tube. First show here.
I bet it's Dave Osmick. Dave Osmick behind the scenes screwing with your Rumble account.
No, that guy would not.
Powerful.
Here's why you know it's not him, because that dumbass. I mean, and I'm gonna say dumbass because that's literally he insulted our people, calling us dumb idiots. You guys, dumb idiots. So Dave Osmick was so stupid he didn't renew his web domain, and it fell to a porn site. And he sent out a literature piece. This was like, I don't know, 6 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember finding out about it. And he sent out a lit piece to constituents that said davidosmick.com. You can go check it out right now, davidosmick.com. I think it's a gambling site now, but it went straight up porn.
I remember you telling me this like 5 years ago, and pretty damn hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think he's behind any technology attack. All right, if you go back to this article we had, I want to remind people, just scroll down here at the bottom. It says, in 2021, Facebook completely removed Action for Liberty's popular page from the internet as we were spreading truthful information about COVID tyranny. Of course, they didn't see it that way. Click on that link there. This was both a page and a group with over 50,000 people, and alone we had spent about $50K in advertising and stuff on the Facebook platform, just wiped off the internet. I think we have a damn good case against them civilly. Actually, I got a good case against the government, which was behind the action that Facebook and Twitter took at the time. So this was back, October 8th of 2021. So you're talking about the height of the vaccine mandates. That's when they did this to us. So I think a lot of people knew about that purge, and that got somewhat reported, right? I guess it was somewhat reported. No one seems to be talking about this recent purge. So what I find interesting is right after this purge occurs, Elon Musk is like, I'm going to allow Alex Jones back on Twitter. Which I know Alex Jones just did an interview with Tucker, okay, so it is what it is, but it's like, it is fascinating that it lines up right after this Facebook purge. People like us, we like I said, we spent $50,000 on Facebook in like 2020, 2021. We don't want to spend a dime on Facebook these days, because why would you put money in a platform that's going to kill you? It's also why we don't spend any money on YouTube. Why would we spend money on YouTube when they just kill our page? If you look at our views on YouTube, it would start climbing. They would ban us, and then when we get off the suspension, climb, and we were like, we're done. We're done with this platform. I think, Dawson, the only reason we put it on YouTube right now, other than the fact it's free to do it, is because if we need to rip an episode down the road, it's the easiest platform to do it from, right?
Yeah, Rumble, I mean, it's no secret that Rumble from the back end is not great. So that's pretty much what we use YouTube for at this point.
Right.
Yogi says Rumble had a major cyber attack.
I've been looking into it. It looks like it's been happening over the weekend, and
Correct.
a lot of
Yeah,
people
'cause it
are
has been slow over
suspecting
the
it's
weekend.
political.
This is what I'm saying to you guys, and I hope, I mean, this is going to cost us a big audience this week on a program I think is very important, but if this video goes up and they can watch it later, this is why I think this weekend was so pivotal, and it's not the MNGOP convention. I know you guys want to talk about it, but it's like something big is happening right now, and it's huge for the future of this country. You have a cyber attack on Rumble. Rumble is allowing free speech to occur, okay? If you go back to 2020, you had YouTube, which censored, and YouTube to this day still censors groups like us. And Facebook, Twitter, and whatever other big media platforms were completely aligned with the government in 2020. And now it doesn't seem like they own Twitter. This is huge. And so it's to the point where allowing a guy like Alex Jones back on the platform, it seems like they've moved heavily in the free speech category. I know you like it, right? I'm an Alex Jones fan because of the entertainment value. This is where you get your show notes, right, Jesse?
Yeah, well, no, I agree that I think it's important that this finally happens. There's no way of fully trusting Elon. You know, obviously, it took him forever to do this, and you know, Alex Jones was banned for BS reasons. So you know, it seems like it's about time. I'm not sure what motivation Elon has. If he's actually for free speech, then I'm all for it. But it is nice to see, and I can't believe that it's taken so long for Elon to get behind it.
I think Rumble's back up.
Okay, Rumble
Mine's
is
loading
back
now.
up. Yeah, cut our audience. All right, so Rumble's back up. Better get that Rumble rant in as soon as possible so we can keep the streak going.
Brad better make one because he asked, can I Rumble rant by donating at the website?
Hurry up, go Rumble
Brad.
rant on there. We don't want to lose it.
Tucker didn't do it too. He said, does my subscription payment that went through yesterday count as a Rumble rant?
I don't think it
I don't
counts as
know.
that. I think it's got to come up as yellow. By the way, fun hanging out with Brad Ganser as well. I should have mentioned Brad was there. We had the Patriot Carla Nelson, which she bid on an item. If you guys don't know this, I also am a amateur auctioneer, you know. So I got Carla Nelson in on some of the bidding. I can't remember which item. I think it's pivotal that we have like really, if you think about 2020's election, okay, massive interference, and we learned later it was from the government, right, at the best of the FBI. You have a free speech platform like X, which is, I guess, becoming the all being, right? It's becoming like they don't even call it tweets anymore. They're posts, they're videos, they're allowing many different content. And then you got Rumble, which is legitimately, when it works, like YouTube. And that equalizes things so much. And I don't know if this is part of the reason that Trump is polling so well, because people are breaking free of the corporate press and the lying social media. I don't know. What do you think, Jesse? Like, you didn't see this kind of polling from Trump and, you know, this point in 2020. People are starting to get their news from other sources, and it seems to be embedded in what we're finding out in the poll numbers.
I think there's some of that, and then I think it's also the indictments that people see that, oh, okay, if they can do this to Trump, they can do this to anybody. So I think that a couple of different things are waking people up, but also we have to keep in mind that the media is going to send us fake polls to try to get us comfortable, and the media is putting stuff out there because they want Trump to win the primary, because they think he's the easiest person to go against with all the indictments and whatnot. Even though that I think, most people end up seeing through that, and what ends up happening is they become, more sided with Trump than the establishment in the system when they see what kind of BS these witch hunts have been.
So Alex's first thing back on the Twitter platform, X platform, is he did an interview.
Brad, $10. Does it surprise you that this renewed conservative purge coincides with Biden plunging in the polls?
I mean, no, none of this is a surprise to us anymore. And thank you very much, Brad. The streak continues. That was awesome. I mean, killing the live part of the show, but I think most people watch our thing after the fact. So you just look at him. He's just so fired up.
I'm just chomping at
I know,
the bit to
he-
get to
yeah.
my
I
list
can't
of
stand
lies
this.
from
It's-
Ozbank.
I don't
Yeah.
think you guys understand.
Carol
If you're wondering
Hexon
why
wants
I'm
to hear
fumbling
about it,
right now,
so-
I can't. I'm trying to do this important stuff, and Mort's just sitting there like, I want to talk about something else right now.
That's what I'm thinking too. I feel like
I'll participate. So I was on that Twitter space the other day when they had Elon and Alex Jones and Vivek and Benny Johnson. And
Vivek the fake.
Whatever you want to call him. I still like Vivek, but
I'm telling you, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. He went to the bathroom and he didn't have enough time to talk to Elon Musk.
Did you hear? I can't remember who said it. I want to say Benny Johnson.
Yeah.
He said, I jotted down some quotes because they had some interesting things to say. But he said, right now the freedom fighters are finding each other. And I jotted that down. And I think that's, when you talk about eradicating Facebook pages and people off of those platforms, I think that has a lot to do with it. People are finding each other. They're connecting.
But this is what worries me about Vivek. I don't know if I trust this guy. Honestly, I feel like some of it's performance. And he's playing.
Well, definitely some of it's performance.
I know, but he's playing to that audience, right? Because he understands there's that audience right now.
Yeah, I don't get your conspiracy about the peeing thing. It's pretty obvious. He went to the bathroom and.
Okay, let me explain to people. If you didn't hear, so Alex Jones gets interviewed by some independent journalist on a Twitter Spaces, which is just audio. And all of a sudden, I think it was like an hour in, Elon Musk jumps onto it. And it's like all of a sudden, the Wild West happened.
It's like 120,000 people listening.
Yeah, on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
No one knew this was going to happen. And all of a sudden, you're listening to Elon Musk and Alex Jones together on some audio platform. It was great. Oh, hey, K-Wall, good to see you. See, that's the problem. If Rumble's down, we don't get K-Wall and T-Wall.
I know.
Do they have a pseudonym on the other thing? I don't know.
I don't know.
So then all of a sudden you get all these people show up, and Vivek's on it. And Vivek gets called on by the host, and I literally don't think he's adding anything to the conversation. I feel like he's just trying to pontificate, and I don't feel like it was something great to hear. And because quite frankly, when you're next to Alex Jones and Elon Musk, like you're really at different levels. Like Joe Rogan's at that level, but like, what do you got to say? Anyhow, I feel like Vivek then was like, well, I'm not really part of this conversation. It's not going anywhere. So he accidentally leaves his microphone on. And this is like minutes later. And all I heard was washing hands. Some people saying that you heard him go to the bathroom and then wash the hands. But all I heard was the washing the hands. And someone's like, oh, Vivek, that's you. And he's like, oh, that's me. Well, hey, guys, I got to run. I got something I got to do. I'm like, you're on Twitter Spaces with like the world's wealthiest man and probably one of the most famous men, and Alex Jones, and you got somewhere else to be on a Sunday afternoon? I'm just not buying it. Not buying it. He's trying to act like he's so important. That's why I'm calling him Vivek the fake.
Well, what I still like about Vivek is he's talking about slashing the size of government by 75%, and he retweeted, how do you say it, Milei?
Oh, yeah, Javier Milei.
President? Yeah. That he chopped out 11 of their ministries in Argentina over the weekend, and Vivek retweeted it, and he said, well, no one else has talked about doing this.
But he's running for president more, and if he's not honest on those things, if he's not serious about it, like, isn't that just...
How do you know he's not serious, though?
I don't know. I just I honestly, in all seriousness, I don't know. I have many skepticism of him. When I saw that bathroom thing, I was like, I'm being honest about that. I was like, really? You really forgot to turn your microphone on? This makes you seem kind of cool and like,
yeah, but I was just saying make little before, mistakes. I mean, if we had an audio tape of Chris Christie peeing, I mean, if Chris Christie accidentally left his microphone on in a call, 100% we'd be making fun of him. It wouldn't be something that Chris Christie would think, oh, these guys are going to think I'm tough.
What if what if the audio on Chris Christie was like, yeah, I'll take 4 quarter pounders with cheese, onions on the side.
Yeah, extra large corn dog. Yeah.
Razzle Dazzle says back on for now as well on Rumble, but he says, what's going to be the reliable backup site for Action for Liberty Truth Hurts? Rumble's being interrupted and hacked intentionally.
Well, did you see what Tucker Carlson just did? Tucker started his own website, basically his own media thing. I don't have any ambitions that we're going to become some big media conglomerate, but our show will eventually, I think, we already store stuff on our own servers. We have our own servers here, but have that. Maybe that's the go-to members only section. Listen, the only reason the show still is on is because you guys watching it live, especially because then we get to interact with you and watching after the fact. And so if this continues to grow and be something that I think adds to the marketplace, yeah, that's where we end up going, is putting on a site. So that's, Tucker's doing the same model that, Glenn Beck, I think, was probably the pioneer of it.
Yeah, I think so.
And Daily Wire obviously does this. I think Timcast does this. So surprisingly, Joe Rogan doesn't do it. But when you get offered $200 million or whatever they speculate that deal was for 5 years on Spotify, someone offers me that money, go ahead. You can just put it on your platform. So anyhow, any other? T-Wall's on here too. So we got K-Wall and T-Wall, and it was great to see you guys. Honestly, see you in person. All right, should we get to the GOP scam?
That's what everybody's waiting for.
Absolutely.
I don't know. So let's set this up, Jesse. Tell people what happened here. Like, why did even Republicans meet on Saturday, and who were the Republicans that met on Saturday?
Sure. So there is a little over 300 delegates who are elected to the State Central Committee. It's basically a committee who gets to decide a lot of important things for the party. You get to decide the leadership of the party. You get to decide what types of resolutions. You get to decide the platform, all kinds of the bylaws, the rules, the Constitution. That is the place to be able to make those motions and be able to debate these things. So there was a meeting on Saturday. Of course, every single person there got scammed out of at least $65. For the people who didn't pre-register, they had to pay $85. On top of that, guests had to pay $85. So you can see that it's a club, it's a social club that they don't really want patriots in. We came to find that out throughout the events of the day.
Hey, let me just put it this way. I have a lot of empathy, and this came up during the Ron Paul days 10 plus years ago, charging all these fees for conventions. If you want real grassroots people, okay, eventually there's a dollar that prohibits people, okay, or makes them second guess it. And there's a lot of other costs. Where was this in? Elk River or something like that?
No, it was the Minnehaha Academy.
Is that in Minneapolis?
Yeah, in Minneapolis, right.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Do it in Minneapolis. Why would...
right, but people in northern Minnesota were saying, why is it not in St. Cloud like it typically is?
Yeah,
because,
correct. But even if it's St. Cloud, everyone's, right? So people are driving, so they got that expense, hotels if they got to do it, but gas, obviously, food. And then you charge $65. At some point, there's a break point where people go, I can't really afford this. If $65 was needed to put on the event, then, do it. But you could charge $20 or something like that.
Right.
These events, because it was at a school, right?
Yeah.
These event centers are not that expensive. So I hate to see that they try to fundraise off of the people. It's like almost cost prohibitive to some of the voices you want inside the party.
Becky on Facebook, she was at our party as well. She says that's the point. They don't want regular grassroots people there.
Yeah, but the regular people are banning the Democrat Party and coming over the Republican Party. That's the thing. So,
yeah, and Osmic had some not so kind words to say about new delegates coming into the party.
Well, Osmic is the chair of this convention, which I think a lot of people alleged he was appointed because he would do the bidding for the establishment.
Oh yeah,
there wasn't a single example where he was siding with the delegates over the establishment. There wasn't a single time where he was preferring a motion that someone like David Hand was not going to be in support of. It was every single time he was doing the establishment's bidding. So no wonder delegates thought he was against them, because every single time somebody went to the microphone and tried to raise a good point of order or tried to explain something to the delegates, Dave Osmic always had a nasty attitude, and that blob up there, he was up there trying to, put the delegates in their place, tell them what they can say, what they can think. That's the style of the establishment. They totally want us to be uniform, and it's so funny to hear these rhinos call people like us Democrats because we're 10 times the conservatives they are, and all they really want is business as usual. They don't want to restore our constitutional government.
It's one thing to say not Republicans. It's another thing to call us Democrats, because they're the ones closer to Democrats. We're like,
of course,
the common sense or conservative faction. All right, so we reported this Tuesday's show, I think. Obviously, there was a group of people that wanted to remove David Hand as chair. Now, I welcome this. I think David Hand is scum. Honestly, this guy's so corrupt. I've talked multiple times about it. It's a legitimate case to remove David Hand as chair. Let's just look at his record right now. The guy lost every election in 2022, basically. There's no change in congressional map. He lost all the constitutional offices, governor, attorney general, secretary of state, and am I forgetting one? Auditor. Mm-hmm. He lost the Minnesota House again and lost the Minnesota Senate. So if you lose the big game, how are you coming back, right? That's what puzzles me.
Right. The last time David Hand ran, he lost. The last time he ran for state senator, he lost. So how is this the expert on winning? Because this guy, he's not a winner.
And then it's like, okay, he lost, but he's coming back stronger. He's not. They're $414,000 in debt. They've added more debt since then. And by the way, they got tons of things that are hurting the party right now, like frivolous lawsuits and shit like that. But he's taking them further in debt. So that's another one on his resume. And number 3, he's attacked the grassroots so many times. He's come after this organization. He emailed out false allegations against Action for Liberty. Mm-hmm. He's spoken in many different places bad about Action for Liberty and you guys. He literally cut off data access for endorsed candidates, grassroots folks, which they didn't even give him an explanation until they came back on Monday and then tried charging him for the data. So,
yeah, and to me, that's one of the biggest offenses. So, like the movement that was happening Saturday with the Rebuild MNGOP group, mm-hmm. and obviously Larry Deuce was involved. They had their own charges that they set forward, which I honestly never even read. I mean, to me, it's the issue is you can't go against endorsed candidates, and that's what the party's done repeatedly. They've mm-hmm. done it to me. They did it to like another half a dozen people last year, and so I think I was very sympathetic to getting rid of this guy. And I even jumped on one of their conference calls, this little group of people that were organizing it. And of course, David Osmek lays the blame at Action for Liberty's feet and says, Action for Liberty is behind all of this.
Yeah, and we'll discuss his appearance on Brad Carlson's radio show, which I had some people text me. And he actually doesn't just say Action for Liberty, he says Jake Duesenberg. What the hell do I have to do with this thing?
Yeah, you're not a delegate.
That's
you
the dumbest shit ever.
It's the craziest thing. Like, you weren't there, and, just knowing you, like, you weren't even overly invested or cared that much about State Central. You're like, oh, yeah, we'll see what goes on.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm not invested in State Central. If you could hold that thought for a second, pull up this graphic. I was explaining this to someone today. This is how State Central, this is like kind of the swamp, right? There's better people getting elected at State Central. But in 2021, they took a straw poll of the choice of gubernatorial candidates, and this is who they selected for governor candidates in 2021. 37% Paul Gazelka. He's the biggest rhino on the planet. And then coming up next is another rhino, Michelle Benson. So nearly 60% of people in State Central wanted the candidate that dropped out of the race before the convention in 2022 and the last place in the convention. It's not like at all our kind of people at State Central. And then Scott Jensen, I mean, that's a mix of people that, Scott Jensen got a lot of good people following him because he talked well. We knew more about Scott Jensen. And then, of course, Neil Shaw, which would have been a smart choice for people. Yeah. Too bad they didn't go that direction. But, yeah, look, Neil Shaw way outperformed on caucus night, and he was a no-namer, right? But State Central, they're not going to vote for him. So that's State Central for you.
So where do you want to dive into this? Because I've got my list. I don't know if Dawson got it. I got a long list of lies and deceit.
Well, first of all, I asked you because once again, fucking Osmek, like I have nothing to do with this thing. So I call up you after the convention, and I'm like, what the hell happened there? Because apparently there was a 6 o'clock adjournment, so it became obvious once I found that out what their tactic was. And you had a very good explanation what the heck they did to stop a vote or to basically suppress the vote of getting rid of David Hand.
Well, they did a bunch of things. I mean, it was like 5.5 hours of voter intimidation, of spreading misinformation. But really where it all culminated was just before the vote, when they're finally going to allow this to happen in like the final 12 minutes of this convention.
Yeah. So they're running out the clock.
Yeah. So the first thing that became obvious right around 2 o'clock to me before we hadn't passed any rules, we hadn't passed an agenda, and I even tweeted, we're 2 hours in, we have no rules and no agenda. They're clearly trying to kill the clock.
Yeah.
And that became very, very obvious that was the plan. The treasurer gave like a 45-minute treasurer update.
No, not the treasurer.
What do you mean, not the
No,
treasurer?
the former treasurer.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know about this?
Yes,
that was
I
the guy that
remember.
went on that crazy rant and got fired, and now he's back up there giving the treasurer's report.
Yeah, so he was taking slings and arrows for Hahn. And
Yeah.
he said, we overspent by $250,000. And he said, it's not Jared Hahn's fault. It's my fault. You blame me.
Yeah.
And somebody actually shouted at him, just go to the next slide. And
Yeah.
he finally said, okay. And then the same person shouted, go to your last slide.
Yeah.
And he did. After a while, he was getting so much
Oh,
grief.
my
So he
God.
just went pop, 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 pop. And
Yeah.
he must have skipped like 20 slides. So it was clear his marching orders were kill time, put these people to sleep. But the people were restless, and they just wanted this vote.
Okay, so I think some people really like to hear this stuff because you're not going to get this anywhere else. Mort knows what he's talking about. Okay, Mort's seasoned in conventions, and killing the clock is a tactic they use. And I can think of one really good case, and I know you were at this one because they wouldn't let you in the auditorium, I believe. But in Wiesenberg's district, Senate District,
Yeah.
was that 9?
10.
10. Senate District 10.
Yeah, I was there too, and they
Yeah, you
wouldn't
were-
let me in either.
So they actually held a convention at, I think its start time was 6 o'clock on a Friday night. The far opposite side of the district were Wiesenberg. They did not want Nate Wiesenberg to be a senator. And they basically had mandatory adjournment at like 11 that night.
Yeah, something like that.
And they end up running the clock out. They don't even count a single vote. They don't count a vote. People voted for their endorsement, and they adjourned without counting the votes. It's a tactic we've seen multiple times. So they basically were using the run out the clock technique. But you said there's some other things here. So
Yeah, I mean, I've got a laundry list here. And hopefully we got some of these audio clips of Osmic in his interview on Sunday. But to me, where it all culminated was just before the vote, Osmic says, well, I'm going to warn you, depending on how you vote right now, you might be triggering the next lawsuit.
Yeah.
Essentially threatening the delegates that if you get rid of David Hahn, the party's going to get sued.
Right, and also what that means is David Hann is going to be the one to sue the party to try to reclaim power, and I think, oh, okay, let's watch that story unfold. And also, how could David Hann even make that claim when he was the one who supported putting this on the agenda? So, how could we say that this is unconstitutional? How could we say that, this could lead to a lawsuit? Well, it sounds like the chairman, he's given up. He's waving the white flag. Even though we all know that that's
you're giving
because-
insider stuff without giving the reference pointer. They say that you can't even make this motion to remove Hand because it's unconstitutional.
Right, which was total BS. Any motion that to remove the chair, they were always going to find it to be unconstitutional. It didn't matter how rock solid it was.
Who ends up making the motion in the end?
Larry Deuce.
No. Who made the motion to put it on the agenda that it got accepted?
Oh, yeah, right. They say David Hann was, David Hann supported the motion to put it on.
So, in other words, it's unconstitutional because David Hand put it on as a motion.
Then it's
also
allowed.
Then it's allowed.
Right.
He just shows how much they're against us. Let's go to the comments section.
Yeah, we have quite a bit. Let's see. Sarah Ann on Facebook says the only way for the grassroots party to win is to get rid of Hahn before caucus, so we can get trust back from those individuals and pack the caucuses with them. They're disengaged due to no trust in the voting system and no trust in the GOP. And let's see, that was on Facebook. From Rumble, Tony the Tiger says if you want people to take you seriously. Oh, wait, never mind. That's a troll. I just
No, that's hilarious.
That's actually kind of funny.
No,
What does he
read
say?
that. No, let's read that.
You
That's funny.
may want to try something other than the Freemason brick for
You
a
want to try some
background.
Freemason
You're
brick?
a Freemason. This is all BS later.
Yeah, there you go.
They're
He's
not
on to
gonna
us.
read it if they're gone.
There you go. It's Freemason. It's not even real. It's not real brick. There's no Freemasons
Basically,
behind
so
it.
this is Dawson. Should we let Tony the Tiger let her rip?
Yeah, let her rip today.
I-
That's pretty.
I
That's a
don't
pretty
know.
funny troll, though.
I should
you
get
know?
paid more for dealing with these guys.
If it was black and white, you might have an argument. Says Napkinator.
All right.
One man on a mission says all groups that want to rid our party of rhino control must join together as one big power group. I don't know how that works too well.
All right. So you want to talk about? So Osmic goes on a radio show on Sunday, and I got a couple texts. So apparently they have an audience too, and people are like, you hear you're being trashed on AM 1280 right now? I was like, what the hell did I do? I mean, get in line, trashing Jake Duesenberg. That's nothing new. Those are the arrows you take when you try to be effective in politics. But apparently I was the mastermind behind this whole thing, which is interesting because I also don't know what the allegations were at David Hand. I just told you what I believe is reasons for removal. It really doesn't need to be longer than that. I'm sure there's a longer list. But
Well, let me get to where Osmic, his whole argument on Saturday, as well as on that show on Sunday, was that this motion was unconstitutional. And he's wrong. It was completely constitutional. But there was a constitutional violation that was made, but it wasn't by the party that Osmic was accusing. So the language, and there's 2 sections of the Constitution that talk about, and we're talking about the GOP Constitution. There's 2 sections that talk about removal of officers. One of them just says at any meeting with a 2/3 vote, you can remove an officer. Pretty easy. That's under section or Article 9. Article 16 says, and I don't have it in front of me, but essentially says any attempt to remove an officer must be brought forward by a committee or a body of the party at 10 days in advance of the meeting, and it must be, or it shall be on the call. And Osmic's logic then is he said, well, this wasn't on the call, so it's unconstitutional. But the question to be asked is, well, who controls the content of the call?
Right.
It's not the people making these motions. It's David Hahn and the executive committee.
Yeah.
So they're the ones, and they filed this thing. The requirement is 10 days. And during the convention, Osmic made it sound like he had no idea if they met that requirement.
Yeah.
Well, it was filed on November 22nd. I remember it was my birthday.
Yeah.
The day before Thanksgiving. But on Osmic's interview on Sunday, he just said it very casually that, the day before Thanksgiving, they filed these charges. So he knew when they were filed.
Right.
So the delegates' obligation is to meet that 10-day filing requirement. They can't control what's on the call.
Right.
It's not their responsibility. So the constitutional violation was with the state party, not with the delegates that were just trying to get accountability.
Right. Plus, it sounds like a terrible rule that's just used to make sure this never
they
happens.
contradict each other. Yeah, they pick and choose which one to enforce. Because 4 months ago when I made the motion under Article 9 to kick Hahn out, they said, whoa, you didn't do this 10 days in advance. You have to give us 10 days notice, and then you can do it. Well, this time around, they got 18 days notice, but they still shut it down.
Yeah.
Well, then they eventually gave us the vote, even though Osmic said it's very unconstitutional. I should rule it out of order, and you're going to trigger a lawsuit. But at least we got the vote.
We have a quick Rumble rant from KWAL for Life. $10 says, isn't the MNGOP basically out of money at this point? Will they ever stop to self-reflect at why this is the case?
Well, no, they're not on money. 65 times 300 or whatever showed up there. So.
Yeah, well, and also, it's definitely on their minds. And what did they do to the delegates? They chastised us because they said the grassroots isn't paying us enough money, as if Bidenomics and the inflation going on isn't hitting, the people in Minnesota hard enough. The party has the audacity to suggest that we aren't paying them enough money. What a joke, So not only is the economy terrible, but also the big reason people don't donate to the party is because we don't trust you. We don't like you. We don't think the leadership is actually going to spend our money wisely, especially when we see that the MNGOP files these frivolous lawsuits against Action for Liberty. We know that that's where the money goes. We know it all stays with the establishment. They have no interest in actually trying to make Minnesota win. They're only going to be using the money to benefit their buddies in the establishment. So the voters and the grassroots conservatives do not trust the party, and that's why they're going to continue to be broken. David Hand, he should realize he is not the man for the job. He is never going to unite the party. The party will never accept him.
Well, I think Mark Anderson's comments why the grassroots doesn't support him.
Mm-hmm. He said, since when did the Minnesota GOP fully stand by the Constitution, either the Minnesota State Constitution or the GOP's?
Yeah. I mean, they see this. It's a rigged system against them.
Yeah, and while I admire Dave Osmic's concern about the Constitution, I wish he would have shared that same concern while he was a senator in the state Senate, because he voted like a liberal. I think it was like 80% of the time. I looked at your scorecard, LEA scorecard, like the guy voted like a total Democrat, but when he has that power, that gavel, he's trying to enforce things that he's completely dead wrong on. And in fact, he went on radio and claimed that a delegate called him a Nazi. Yeah. And that is not true. That never happened.
Well, there's a lot of lies, so we'll go through this audio. First of all, I think the guy should be able to defend himself. Unfortunately, we reached out to Dave Osmic, and he's too chicken shit to come on the show. So, Dave Osmic, if you want to defend yourself, open invitation. We've reached out to you on the phone and by email and did not get a reply from him. So, and I think you offered to go on Brad Carlson's show to set the record straight. So, AM 1280, if you want some counter to those lies on the show, have Eric Mortensen, or have me on. Wait, Sunday. It's a Sunday show, right?
I think so.
Yeah, have Eric Mortensen on. I got stuff going on Sunday. I'm not going to go on that show. Yeah, that's the thing is they never want to debate this stuff because we actually know what the hell's up. So let's go into this. We got audio from the show. Let's go to the Osmic calls A4L supporters dumb idiots. That's always what intelligent people call other individuals, dumb idiots, right?
Right.
All right, here we go.
I'm going to have to play with audio just a little bit.
That's right. You said flinging monkeys. That's what they did. They made Action for Liberty and all these certifiably dumb idiots will throw everything against the wall. And she's absolutely innocent of the charges. It's not even not guilty, innocent. So they went after her, and the committee, all of the.
There you hear it. I don't know. Who was he referring to at that point? Do you know?
He was talking about first and second time delegates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, but I'm saying he said she's guilty of these charges. What are they?
Barb Sutter.
Oh, Barb Sutter. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The National Committee. Is she national?
Yeah, National Committee woman for the RNC.
There you go. You can tell how much I care about party politics, honestly. Like, that's the funniest thing. Because he's asserting, I'm behind this. I'm the mastermind behind it. Well, first of all, if I was a mastermind behind this, I think it would have done a little bit better, right?
It was really sloppily done.
Yeah.
It was so sloppy. They picked so many stupid fights that were not worth picking. And on the one call that I was on with them, I tried to encourage them, just pick smart battles. And on that one call, they said, yeah, that's a good idea. And then when I watched it unfold on Saturday, they picked ridiculous battles.
Now, apparently, I'm trying to destroy the party. Me getting mentioned by name trying to destroy the party. Whatever the hell like, literally, you guys are doing a fine job destroying the party without me. It's not me that's driving them $414,000 in debt, or is it? Or is it? Can they connect me to that? That's barely all they think.
Uh-huh.
Well, is it any wonder when they lose these grassroots supporters and donors, and they claim they want unity, and then they turn around and say, "Oh, these new delegates are certifiably dumb idiots."
Yeah,
doesn't sound like a cry for unity to me.
Right.
Mort, if I had $1 for everyone that said I'm not giving to the party anymore, I'm giving to other groups. Oh wait, I do have dollars for that. Yeah, you guys have a problem on your hands, don't you?
Base Minnesota says I lampooned Osmic about a year ago while exiting a Lunds and Mound. He told me to F off. Great moment.
All right, so this is Osmic saying, I'm Jake Duser trying to destroy the party.
Completely out of order. No, we're not doing it that way. Because you're going to stand up. If you want to take down the chair, stand up and show your face. This is Jake Duesenberg and his group behind the scenes who are they're trying to destroy the party. If we spent half the time not fighting, and also every time we have all these allegations come up, it's in Jennifer Carnahan's lawsuit and all these things, we're spending lawyer money like there's no tomorrow.
And that doesn't exactly make people eager to donate to the state party either,
exactly.
So that hampers fundaising.
And that puts us into a deficit, and no wonder. There was also a motion to take David Hand's salary away from him.
All right, let's pause right there.
So
he says we only get 15 views on YouTube, which, by the way, kind of accurate because we don't put any money to YouTube, right? But he says as a way we have no influence. But somehow have enough influence to steer enough people away from the Republican Party and destroy it? Like, how's that even make sense to this guy?
Yeah.
I'm not going to accuse him of intelligence, though, okay? This is the guy that let his website go to a porn site.
I wish the Republicans of the Capitol would vote like Republicans 50% of the time. That would be a big improvement.
That would be a big improvement.
And actually, you guys don't know this. I spoke to somebody on the way in here, and I'm not going to mention names, although I normally have no problem mentioning names, but...
sounds like someone at the Capitol. That's what it sounds like.
It's somebody on the inside, not the Capitol, though.
Okay.
So, at the start of that clip, he was talking about secret ballots. And I don't know if we caught that in the very beginning, but there was a motion that was made to make the vote for removal a secret ballot.
Yeah, because, see, when I was masterminding this, I thought a secret ballot was the way to go.
Yeah. And, of course, Osbic shut that down real quick. But what's interesting is almost every single legislator there, except for Wiesenberg, and I've heard maybe a Ben Davis, voted to remove Hahn. But a legislator, or several of them, have been saying that they would have voted to remove Hahn if it would have been a secret ballot, but they couldn't be seen voting to remove him because they would have been primaried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
wait. They'd be primaried by the party?
Yeah, which I think what they need to understand, and I wish I'll eventually call this person out, but that's not the only direction you have to worry about. There's the other direction because the grassroots people are also going to primary people that vote the wrong way. So that door swings both ways there.
Mm-hmm. But I'm just utterly shocked that this person would say that to you and they would just admit that they're cowards and don't stand for the
Well, that's the thing. They didn't say it to me. They said it to another person who I trust with my life.
Yeah,
so.
I kind of figured that's how it went down. Another thing I found interesting about that clip there, he accuses us of costing the party money in legal. The lawyer that's on stage, you can't make this shit up. The lawyer that's on stage up there, the party's lawyer, is the guy behind the frivolous complaint against us with the Campaign Finance Board. By the way, both Campaign Finance Board. Do you know the Campaign Finance Board meets tomorrow? This is hilarious. They meet tomorrow, and they're trying to decide. So once again, we've had the legal staff at the Campaign Finance Board, twice now recommend removing both cases against us because the evidence doesn't suggest we did anything wrong. But the Walz-appointed political board has ignored their own legal staff and recommended continuing the witch hunt against us. So tomorrow we're going for a hat trick. The third time, legal staff's like, there's no evidence there's any violation here. I have zero idea. I could go 50-50. They're finally like, this is ridiculous. What are we doing here? Let's dismiss this case. Or they go, nope, keep the witch hunt on. We got to make Action for Liberty pay. This is all from the lawyer that the Republican Party of Minnesota has. Mm-hmm. Like, who's costing who stuff here? These guys are pathetic.
Right, and also I could just get, what a sense of entitlement from Osmic, in what he's saying there, because he's saying that, almost like him and the MNGOP are entitled to our work, energy, and money. You don't necessarily just get that. Hell no, you have to earn it from us. You have to trust us that, you're actually going to be there to fight for us. And that means not just at election time. That means backing the endorsed candidate. That means actually pushing a conservative agenda through. That means upholding the platform. That means holding our, leaders accountable. There's all kinds of things that the MNGOP just utterly fails to do.
Well, former Rep Mark Anderson commenting on Osmic.
Osmic, like all their establishment insiders, always shifts the blame for the GOP's failures. Same old tactics.
There you go.
Was it Mark Johnson, Senator Mark Johnson? They always do these speeches at the beginning of these things. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Mark Johnson that got up there, and he tells the audience, the delegation, you need us. We are your only hope to restore liberty in this state.
Right.
And to hear someone like that, knowing the way that they vote, and they have no backbone to say that the delegates and Minnesotans need them. You guys are doing nothing to advance the cause of liberty.
Right.
Listen, I'm going to just say this. I appreciate you guys giving up your Saturday and doing this stuff, and I think it's important because Republican Party is one of the major parties in Minnesota and around the nation. I have zero interest going to a convention on Saturday, especially what I have to pay for. I would be negotiating with how much they have to pay me to go there, okay?
Yeah.
Let alone to go listen to a bunch of lying politicians talking about. Because someone sent me a picture. Emmer was speaking. Fishbach was speaking. Yeah. Didn't you tell me Emmer was speaking about the problems with the national debt?
Yeah. No, him and Fishbach. They didn't seem to understand the irony and the audacity of them to stand on stage, lecture us, the delegates, about the national debt. Meanwhile, they're supporting war in Ukraine. They're supporting war with, funding Israel. They want to put us further in debt. And on top of all of that, our party, the MNGOP, sits at $414,000 plus in debt. So they didn't seem to see the irony in telling delegates about the national debt when we can't even solve our own problems at home.
Yeah, they don't give a shit about the debt. They're enablers of the debt. All right, so Osmic, showing his true colors, then talks about how we need moderates and pro-choice candidates. One of the biggest lies in politics, you hear this from the establishment all the time in the media, is that you have to be moderate to run in certain districts. We hear this over and over again, and it's the biggest bullshit. It's all about messaging. How do you message to the voters to get elected, right? Because that's what elections are. They're popularity contests. But they think that you just need to be moderates. Now look at all you have to do is look at the Democrats. The Democrats won a majority. Do you think the Judy Seeberger's district or Eric Putnam's district is on board with transgender surgery for 6-year-olds? Of course not. You think they're for abortion after birth? Of course not. But Those senators voted that way. They don't subscribe to this thing. So it's actually a lie. I think many regards perpetuates from the left, and Osmek reiterates this. So let's hear Osmek talking about we need moderates and pro-choice candidates. And go.
Sorry, I'm trying to get the right time frame. This is
I thought it was giving you like enough time there.
Hold on. MT Anderson, $100 says the A4L crew is worth it.
There you go.
Well,
That's
holy
very
crap.
generous.
You said $100?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you see
jeez.
it?
Well,
Yeah.
that was very generous of the former state rep here. I mean, well, thank you, Mark. That must be that Florida tax savings right there. He's like, if you only knew, Jake. If you only knew.
This one's 46, right?
Let's hear this one.
You wanted to get rid of Dave Senja. You wanted to get rid of Carla Nelson. These are more moderate.
That's
senators.
the Rhino, Carla Nelson.
However, they are in moderate districts. If you don't understand you don't understand politics. If you don't understand some of these suburban districts, you're going to have a moderate. They might even have to be pro-choice. Because
there you
you're
go.
Going
right
to
there. Pause right. You heard it. You heard these are, and I bet you he gets a A+ rating from what's the
MCCL?
MCCL.
Yep, no doubt.
These guys have no principle. They literally tell you they don't need to be on board. Like, here's the deal, and this is why we exist. What does it mean to be a Republican? If you don't have the values, which is basically what a moderate is, they don't have the values. What's the point in all this? So that you could be the ruling party? Oh, well, there you go. Now you understand their objectives. I remember David Henn when he was slamming Action for Liberty. Was this fall? Yeah, about a little over a year ago. Saying Action for Liberty is being investigated by the Campaign Finance Board, saying we're basically guilty, which is a joke. And he says they don't share, excuse me, they don't share our values or share the values that we have or the objective of a governing majority.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, we don't share that thing because that's all you guys care about is a governing majority. We care about liberty. We care when Han was in an office at that point. David Osmek's a good case in point, was a senator in 2020 and did not call for a vote to end Governor Walz's emergency powers, not one time. Mm-hmm. They adjourned in May, and we couldn't get a single senator on board. David Osmek, you are a coward. You allowed Governor Walz to shut down the state of Minnesota. Now, that vote may have – well, no, that vote actually wouldn't have failed in the Senate. Republicans had the Senate. It should have been passed. So where was the vote?
And that's the real division. I mean, let's just cut to the quick on this. The real division in the Republican Party are the establishment types largely and their friends. That's all they care about is power, greed, self-aggrandizement. It's just that you kind of tee it up as like winning elections, but that's all they care about. Where people in this room and the grassroots folks want to advance the conservative agenda, preserve liberty, and maybe you could make the case that you need a governing majority as a prerequisite to actually advance a conservative agenda. Like, that's a fair argument, but that's what they always say is that is their ultimate goal is a governing majority. And that doesn't excite me because it doesn't talk about any results.
Right.
And that to me is the ultimate division in the party where Osmek is saying these groups are hell bent on chaos and destroying the party. Like, that's not my goal. Isn't chaos or destroying anything. It's advancing the conservative agenda, which you would think would be their objective too, but it's not.
But disruption is important here.
Well, I agree.
Yeah, he calls chaos as if this isn't planned, but like disruption's important.
Yep.
And disruptive forces are necessary. You know, as the disruptive forces to the horse and buggy, the Ford automobile, right? Mm-hmm. Disruptive forces are important if you want to change the course of history.
But that's not the ultimate goal, again.
Of course not. The ultimate goal is liberty, less government. He doesn't understand it. He is a big government spending Republican. I don't want to play this audio clip, but at one point he's complaining about how he hasn't got a surplus check back. Mm-hmm. And he goes, it should be more. And I go, you were a senator over multiple years of budget surpluses. You did not give that money back. In fact, you voted to spend it. Eric Mortensen was the only person in 2021 and 2022 not to spend your surplus. Only legislator up at the Capitol didn't spend a dime of your surplus. In fact, you took a really hard vote. The establishment used it against you because you voted against a useless audit against the Southwest Light Rail because it not only was it useless, as the points were made by the leadership at that time, But it spent the surplus money.
Yeah,
and you said you'd give back every dime of the surplus.
Yeah, it's been $200,000 in the surplus, and the Office of the Legislative Auditor already came out and said, we've already started this audit. So that's why Kurt Dowd stood on the floor for 45 minutes and said, we don't need this, we don't need this. But they knew it was going to become politically weaponized. So he encouraged his whole caucus to vote for it, and they all fell for it.
Let's go comments here because I see there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's more than 15 people on the comment section.
Let me see really quick on Facebook. There's a couple. Becky says, moderate is what we got with Scott Jensen. How'd that work out?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and a lot of people thought Jensen was like so strong. It's like, we sounded an alarm on Scott Jensen, and then, my goal after primary season is not to derail Republicans because, especially like Scott Jensen. At least Scott Jensen was on the record being against emergency powers and a lot of stuff. So definitely better than Walz, but it would not have been like, oh, everything's done. We can go off and do other things. Like, he's not a Ron DeSantis, right?
Yeah, Carol says, Carol Hexam.
I was looking at Jesse to see if he was going to.
I wasn't even sure you were referring to DeSantis. I was just going to let it pass. I don't care.
Right, what's Carol have to say?
We have Carol Hexam. She says,
good
amen to
patriot,
that.
Carol there.
Many establishment Republicans quit talking to me because I didn't support Jensen. Which I think that probably happened to a lot of people. Carla Nelson says, God is not going to ask if you won. He'll ask if we defended his laws. And Tucker says, this guy, according to Osmic, or talking about him, says, this guy doesn't sound like a moderate, he sounds like a wuss. And K-Wall says, this guy sounds like a lizard person to me.
But
well, he won't come on the show, so I mean, he can say maybe the communication didn't get to you.
Offer's still open, but so and one thing Osmic is saying there is he's saying that in a swing district, it's only an establishment moderate rhino who can win those districts. It's not someone who's an independent thinker. Even though that's what the people really want. When you ask most people, what do you want to see? They want to get rid of the corruption. They want to get rid of the omnibus bills. That's all stuff that's aligned with liberty, and that's against, opposed to what the moderate establishment rhinos really want to see happen. And I think what is really crazy and unhinged is spending our surplus money. If he wants to make the argument that he's a conservative with our fiscal dollars, obviously the party isn't. But and same thing with him as a legislator, I think that's what's unhinged and crazy because Osmic in this interview, he also referred to what I was doing in my flyers that I was putting out there as crazy and unhinged. So I think we should also play that clip.
That's line 16, Dawson. We'll let you get to that audio clip. Basement. So
yeah, has a question. Honest question. Who have been the three most based Republican politicians in Minnesota over the past 20 years?
Well, I mean, clearly Mort is one of them.
Right there. Who else
there was a guy
say?
named Mark Biskins. It's actually a little bit before my time of following the state legislature, but seemed like he was pretty based. That's prior to 2010 time frame.
Did you just use based like correctly and it flowed all?
Shut up.
That was
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Granted, I didn't know what based meant a year ago. Okay, did you?
No, not a year ago.
Probably. Yeah. Okay, so more than you're in our 40s, right? You got to understand. We're learning stuff from you youngsters, okay? And a lot of the audience can agree with us. I know what based means now, okay?
What is Riz, if we're going to go on this topic?
Riz?
Every video my daughter
Riz.
shows me says Riz. I don't know what the hell
Who
Riz
says
is.
Riz?
I actually don't know. That's funny.
No, who says Riz to you?
My daughter shows me videos, and it says Riz.
Oh, God, that's...
And I asked her last night,
like,
she laughed
it's literally
at me
short for
walked away.
charisma.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but
yeah, it's literally short. Like if you have Riz.
An unspoken Riz, that's when you got Riz without even having to say a word, just by a look that you can swoon some women over. So there's all kinds of different Riz.
That's the way that
there should be a
found
new
out
bit.
about it.
Every show there should be some new
youngster language.
Yeah, youngster.
Yeah, and Riz is the word of the Oxford word of the year.
I think I did hear that. Actually,
yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah. Oxford Dictionary said that Riz is the word of the year. So
who's the third most based? Who's the third most based Republican politician? Oh. Well, quite frankly, Mark Anderson, I think, is in that category. If you listen to Mark Anderson talk,
he said he had another comment. Actually, he said when the GOP, or even when the GOP held both the House and the Senate at the same time, they failed to uphold Article 4, Section 17. That alone would change the agenda of government growth.
Yeah.
That's omnibus bills, right?
Yep. Multi-subject, yep.
Yep.
I guess if his question is who's based, but doesn't mean they necessarily got elected,
well
then you could...
Mark Bashofsky.
Yeah, right.
Mark would be like, no way am I a politician. Mm-hmm. All right. All right.
Whoa.
Who are the least based?
One man on a mission says, I was threatened with arrest for handing out flyers at the last CD8 convention. The flyer exposed the corrupt CD8 executive committee.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
interesting. That is a tactic they use. They called the police on Nate Wiesenberg.
When?
This was the Morrison County Convention. Yes. I should have
that was
tried
a little
everything
before the,
to make sure Wiesenberg wouldn't get elected. We document. This is kind of like one of the things where, we're like Alpha News just wouldn't cover the important stuff. And
Yeah, I think
I
this
love
was,
how we got an audience here.
Pretty
because
sure that was before the endorsing convention. I think it was the
I'm going to give you the
BPOU meeting.
timeline because I was like, Alpha, you guys got to cover this shit, and they don't want to touch things that are, in the boiling pot there. And this is where some of the news that you guys need to hear about is on caucus night. They actually changed the delegate sheet, and we think that's actually illegal. There's actually statute saying you can't change delegate sheets. In one case, they put a wife of the sitting state rep on there. So they tried changing after the fact the caucus sheets, and that determines who becomes a delegate. So then they have the Morrison County Convention, and they're like trying. It was who's the guy from CD8 that came down. Morrison County had to have someone come like an hour and a half west from CD8 to run their convention because of how corrupt these people were. And this guy literally, we got video of this.
Yeah.
What's that?
Tony Albright?
No, that's the endorsing convention.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
you're
think
saying
of the
one
guy's
of the
name.
party guys.
Yeah, he
Can't
literally, I want to say Crick or something like that.
Yeah, his name isn't
Justin
coming to mind.
Crick. Isn't that his name? Crick?
I can't think
He
of it right
literally will not listen and take motions on the floor. He's like literally ignoring the body as if the body isn't controlling the convention. They call the cops on Wiesenberg, who's now their state senator. This is the path to getting elected that Wiesenberg had. The cops come there and they're like buddies with Wiesenberg, so it's kind of a funny conversation. But they had legitimate beef with the chair not listening to their thing. Then they have the endorsing convention we just mentioned to you, where they literally adjourn at 11 p.m. and don't even count a vote. Let's be honest, we know why they didn't count a vote. Somebody was going to win that thing, and it wasn't the guys that they wanted. And that was the one Tony Albright chaired. So then it was left to primary. It was a three-way primary, and Wiesenberg won. That's how he's a state senator. There you go. There's a great lesson.
And he auctioned off his tie. What did his tie say again at the party?
Oh, yeah, it was come and take it with a chainsaw, yeah.
When she wore.
By the way, this same kind of stuff happened in Otter Tail County. I saw Carol's on there. This is what they did to stop Nathan Miller, get their favorite boy over there elected. We could document other cases this happened, but Wiesenberg was the one where it was really victorious that they failed at. Mm-hmm. Well, but by the way, running out the time was used against Tom DePel. I was at that convention. They didn't let the Tom DePel thing didn't happen. Imagine going to a convention on a Saturday. You give up a Saturday, and they don't even have an endorsement till like 4 o'clock, and everyone got there like 8 or 9 in the morning. They try bleeding out people so that the numbers don't help the challenger. Because let's be honest, the grassroots people have normal new people, and they don't want to give up a whole Saturday to do a convention. That's the political system here. All right, sorry, a little bit of a rant there, but Mark paid for the rant. There you go, I can do it.
True.
Let's go to this timestamp. This is where Osmic calls Jesse's really motivated to get this out there. He needs to defend his flyer. So let's hear this one.
To have a disclaimer on it. And nobody knows who these people are. There's no chairman. We have no idea who's in this group. We have no idea who. Again, this could be Ken Martin sending literature into the Republican.
Sure.
How are we supposed to know? We have never heard of this group before. So I said no. As I have a rules authority to say you're not handing that out. Eventually, they did hand out a piece that was Dave Hand making a comment that he's not a Trump guy. Well, there's a lot of people, including you, Brad, are not big Trump guys. It's mind-boggling that these people are bent on chaos. But we can go over when we come back from break. We can go over a few of the charges that they brought up and the quote-unquote malfeasance. But the simple fact of the matter is these people are unhinged and bent on, and it's primarily going back to Action for Liberty. I'm sure they're going to do a little video, and their videos always get about 15 YouTube views for Action for Liberty. I'm probably giving them more views now.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm mentioning them. But these people are these.
Okay,
these are the same
stop right
people.
there.
Action for
I think that's probably what you want to go.
Yep.
Listen to the narcissism of this guy.
Yep.
David Osmick's a nobody.
Nobody's.
You
heard
are
of
a
this
loser.
guy. Yeah.
He was like, I think I heard on this radio thing, he was shaming Philip Parrish because he had this failed bid to be governor. Osmick ran for governor in 2018, where he's like no money and was like out before anyone else. It was like no one even knew the guy was running.
Yeah, I had no clue he was even running for governor in 2018 until I heard that radio interview and went, "What?"
So bad. I don't know how he got elected the first time. He must have been the only guy that raised his hand. So he gets districted out of his district, and this is the district Kelly Morrison has it. I know this because William was in his district. Or grew up in his district. William eventually goes to college and then graduates, right? So he's like, I don't like this district. So he carpetbags west and faces Glenn Gruenhagen, who whipped his butt and got endorsed. And that's the end of Dave Osmick's time up at the Capitol. Mm-hmm. And by the way, at the Capitol, he is a 30%. He's at one point in the interview, he's like, no one would doubt my conservative credentials. We do.
Oh, yeah.
You vote for every omnibus bill under the sun. You never gave back the surplus. You're a rhino. So that's David Osmick. But we're just unhinged, crazy people, aren't we there, Jesse?
I guess so, because apparently that's how he feels about any Trump person, and it should be very clear the Trump team and his legal team do not trust the MNGOP. Sometimes people wonder, why isn't Trump paying more attention to Minnesota? It's because he knows there are bad faith actors within the MNGOP that he wants nothing to do with. I can't blame him. But the grassroots, of course, is with him, just like in any other state. The grassroots is MAGA. At least the majority of it is. And so for David Osmick to say that these people are just bent on chaos and all they want to do is stir the pot and get people angry. Well, I think a lot of these delegates were unaware of the fact of how anti-Trump, anti-MAGA David Hann actually is. So what did I do? I put together a flyer that just showed people, these are the different headlines of what David Hann has been saying about President Trump. And he says, this was an action for liberty move. Was this an action for liberty move? Because, Jake, you're not a Trump guy. You don't support Trump for 2024 in the primary as of now. So it sounds to me as if, maybe I'm my own person with my own thoughts who felt the need to inform the delegates that David Hann is anti-MAGA, anti-Trump. So I put this flyer out there immediately. Gets taken out of my hands by the sergeant at arms, takes it up to the front. I speak in front of the microphone and I tell them, "Don't you take my flyers away from me. They have my disclaimer. They have a disclaimer on it. It has my name on it. There's no problem at all in the world with these things." But obviously, they were looking for any opportunity they could to put this all together. And it's funny that they combine Action for Liberty, Rebuild the MNGOP as if we're all one group, one thing, doing the same thing. It's like we're all our own people. There was 96 delegates who were still there at the end who were willing to vote for the removal of David Hann. Each one of us have come to our own independent conclusions based on the failures of the leadership. It's not because we're being propagandized by Jake Duesenberg. It's because we all can think for ourselves and we can see, obviously, that a guy who is leading a party who has failed us in elections, who has attacked the grassroots and is $414,000 in debt for the party, it shows that is not the guy to lead in this moment.
I'm a little worried you're going to distribute flyers against me at the next A4L board meeting. Jake's not fully on board the Trump train.
Yeah, right.
Jake accused Trump of keeping Anthony Fauci hired through the end of his term.
Well, here's the big difference. Jake, you have no interest in being the Republican Party chairman, and it's not the role for you anyway. It's not the role for someone like me anyway. But basically,
wait, hold on. But Eric Mortensen was teasing with the idea, right?
Yeah.
You're flirting with the idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You're flirting with that idea.
Yeah, right.
We didn't even talk about this. Fake news. Like literally, Michael Broadcorp's got to be the dumbest guy on the planet.
It's unreal.
He literally believed you were running for a chair because someone created a Facebook page, which I think I know who it is, and so he reported it, and he can't admit he was wrong and got duped by a troll account. So he goes, well, after flirting with the idea of running for a chair, Eric Mortensen joins the board at A4L.
Mm-hmm.
And Kurt Dowd is up all night long that Monday night debating this fake Twitter account.
Yeah.
That was just classic.
Oh, let's go to the comment section here.
Carla Nelson asks, "Do you
the Patriot,
know?"
Carla Nelson.
Yes, the Patriot says, "Do you know who the man was they kicked out on Saturday?"
One of them was David Penn. I'm not sure who the other guy was.
The other one was John Palmer, but I think he brought Palmer back. That's the guy that Osmick claims called him a Nazi. which is not true.
And you're saying that's a lie?
Oh, it is a lie. Yeah. Now, what Palmer said is he said it feels like 1930s Germany in here, referring to the atmosphere and the environment and the oppressiveness. But he did not single out Osmic and call him a Nazi. That's completely false.
Oh, okay. Victim card by Osmic. I see what he's doing. What else we got?
K-Wall for Life says, what I heard him say is 15 views on Facebook have more power than he does.
Yeah. Well, I think it was on YouTube. I think we actually...
Oh, YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, we've gotten hundreds of thousands of views on Facebook, which is really interesting to me. Like Facebook's algorithm broke down once and allowed our videos to be seen. I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Let's see. North Minnesota says, you guys just gave Osmic more views. Never heard of him until today.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he says it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he's an idiot, which he kind of is, or he just knows that
he's a puppet.
Yeah, and lying. Because there's a lot of lies. Obviously, he knows he's lying about
Yeah, let me hit another one of these lies. So, and this is really important, and hopefully maybe some of the delegates from Saturday are going to watch this, but at one point when Larry Deuce was making this motion, Osmic said, well, under what authority do you make this motion? And Larry had a pretty damn good answer. He said, as a state central delegate that's responsible for oversight over the state executive committee. And Osmic started reading into the constitutional language and said, well, it says here it has to be a committee or a body of the party. And he actually said, one delegate at state central cannot make a motion like this, which is completely, entirely false. That is the job of the state central committee is to provide oversight over the executive committee. So he was completely making it up as he went, or he's an idiot, or he's just lying to people. But to try to shut down that motion that was entirely in order, and all the delegates have that power, he tried to make it sound like, you need the Mille Lacs County Republicans behind this initiative.
Or one of the affiliates or something. And it was totally a misinterpretation of the Constitution. And that's what we knew was going to happen anyway. Anytime that they can tweak a bylaw or they can tweak the Constitution to make it sound like that, it's something is unconstitutional, they're always going to do that, no matter if it's perfectly constitutional. Larry Deuce, he put together a good document. It was obvious that it was sent off by him. That's the funny thing. They say, these anonymous charges against David Hand. Everybody knew it was Larry Deuce. Why did everyone know it was Larry Deuce? Because Larry Deuce had sent it personally to David Hand so that it was delivered to him in person and via email. And every single delegate was sent an email by Larry Deuce telling them, hi, my name is Larry Deuce, and I filed this motion to remove David Hand. So everybody was fully aware of this. They were trying to play these semantics games to try to fool people. It's such a joke.
Yeah, Larry Deuce was behind it, and Mark Bashowski was the mole, right? We know it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what Osmic said on that radio show Sunday, is he said, we don't even know who's behind these charges. Yeah. It was done completely anonymous, which is such a bald-faced lie.
It could be Ken Martin. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Hand's too busy just doing podcasts with Ken Martin.
Right, exactly.
Joint press. That's the other thing. We've invited David Hand on the show. He won't come on our show, but he'll do a podcast with Ken Martin.
Yeah. He's always
think about that.
He's more aligned with Ken Martin.
He's more aligned with the Democrat Party chair who whipped his butt in the election, and he can't find the time to come talk to us.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, and I think we should get into the article I had written here too, just to go over a couple of the
spicy article. It's not published yet, but eventually you can go to Action for Liberty.
Yeah. So go ahead and click that article there, Dawson. And this is kind of a recap and just to inform people of what was really going on at State Central, because every article that I've been reading about it is total BS.
What article?
What exactly. Or just, what other people
no one's talked about this.
Right, exactly.
Do you like that graphic I made for you?
That's right. Go ahead and scroll down a little bit there, Dawson. So this is a recap of what I witnessed at the State Central delegate meeting on Saturday. The morning started off with a bang as an establishment henchman, Sergeant at Arms, began blockading a door rented by Rebuild the MNGOP. This group of patriots wanted to provide a nice space for delegates to mingle, enjoy water and snacks, and discuss ideas. And the very concept of this sent chills down the MNGOP swamp spine, because individuals thinking for themselves is not allowed in the high ranks of the party. So, what they proved with that moment there, where they have some henchman standing in the way, blocking the door, to the closest available bathroom, all because he didn't want Rebuild the MNGOP or any of these people to be able to discuss these ideas. It was so obvious what was going on.
You got video of this. Don't we have video of it?
I did put a video in the...
Do you have that, Dawson?
Yeah, it's I think the line underneath that, Dawson.
Right,
on,
so
the
Rebuild
document.
Minnesota. This is the actual people
Rebuild
that,
the
this is-
MNGOP.
Rebuild it. They're the actual people that wanted to remove Han. That's the actual entity, not me or Action for Liberty.
Yeah.
By the way, and they reserved a room or paid for a room.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know if they paid for it, but they signed a contract.
Yeah, I'm not
with the
sure
school.
either. But yeah,
Well, they signed a contract to have this room. And you got video, and you went live. You got the video?
Yep.
We're good?
Yep,
Okay,
we
let's
got
play
it.
this video. This is Mega Jesse reporting on the scene.
Not for this meeting. We didn't contract for this door.
the delegates did.
The other sergeant, I will. Okay,
So this guy is blocking us from being able to go through these doors right here. No reason why. He says we're commingling meetings. That's the kind of BS the establishment pulls when you try to organize, when you try to do anything against them. This is the kind of BS they pull. They put a sergeant at arms at the door. That's what's going on here. Total BS.
Yeah, good job there, Jesse.
And,
And
you know,
you did a Facebook Live on this, didn't you? Mort?
Yeah, as they were shutting it down, because initially the school came in and they said, we're going to close these double doors, which I think were fire doors. And those of us on our side, meaning like the Rebuild MN GOP side, we're like, well, how are we going to get back into the convention? And then the people started coming through the doors again, and they're like, well, how are we going to go to the bathroom? It was so ridiculous, and clearly that's where the party stepped in, and their excuse was, in fact, Anna Matthews told me that it's
That's the
against,
executive director of the GOP.
Yeah. She said, well, this is against our rules to have those doors open. Like, you have rules
Yeah.
that we haven't even passed, by the way,
right.
that say these two doors have to be closed.
Yeah, show me that rule.
Yeah.
Show me that rule. What a
so
joke.
ridiculous.
Yeah, so let's go and get back to the article there, because then I want to talk about a very special guy named Tommy Miracle, who's a very well-known rhino, and this guy was caught, yelling and screaming and being extremely rude to a bunch of female delegates. That kind of shows you the kind of person that he is.
Why would
and the
he?
way that
Why would he care?
Right.
Like, I don't understand that.
Right. So, these were all, delegates and people who said, I don't even know who that guy is. Who is that guy? He was the rudest person I'd ever talked to in my life. And so, sure enough, they were talking to Tommy Miracle. And Miracle was connected with the Minnesota Jobs Coalition, fundraising big money for Rhino State House candidates. And they won a whopping 0 primary wins. And so, Miracle is also known for his role in removing 33 duly elected conservative delegates in Otter Tail County and tilting the scale in the BPOU endorsing convention for Rhino Jordan Rasmussen against Patriot Nathan Miller. Tommy Miracle has been a strong backer of new MNGOP rules that would allow BPOU and congressional district chairs to ban delegates who break some kind of anti-free speech, loyalty, allegiance pledge. And the irony is rich, because considering this, all of the money that he spent on unendorsed candidates in the primary include, against candidates like yourself, Eric, against Mike Weiner, against Mark Pashofsky. So, it's very ironic for Tommy Miracle to be saying that we need some sort of loyalty standard when he wouldn't be able to abide by that in his own case, because he's spending money trying to take out conservatives.
Oh, I think
and
he'd
replace
abide
them
by
with
it if
rhinos.
you could just throw out all the bad delegates to him, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Then the endorsements will be easy for them.
Uh-huh.
That's actually the problem that's going on right now in the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. The people are rising up. They're getting in the ranks. Yes, we have something to do with that. We got a lot of people involved in politics. That was our big thing in 2022, a push to go to the caucuses and get involved.
Right. And so,
And so that's a problem for them, because now these people think for themselves
Right.
and go, I'd rather have a Mark Pashofsky than your candidate. I'd rather have Wiesenberger than your candidate. And they rise up, and they don't want those endorsements. They want the David Osmicks of the world, the yes men that'll just do their bidding for them.
Yep.
And same thing with the delegates. They don't want delegates who are out there thinking for themselves and, proposing ideas and whatnot. They want people to be good soldiers. They want them to just be social club Republicans.
They want them to be, dare I say, dumb idiots.
Yeah, exactly. They want them to be silent. And, because to the leaders of the MNGOP, to the David Hands, it's more important that he maintains his power as chair than it matters to win an election. So patriots who question the status quo are immediately considered opposition to the party instead of considered allies as conservatives, because there's several hardcore conservatives who were called Democrats by the establishment big government rhinos at this convention, and it just further cements the outrageous lies and smears that they'll whip out over the tiniest bit of pushback against the party. So pull up that article again, Dawson. I want to show people the flyers that I had distributed. So go ahead and scroll down. That is the first one. David Hand is anti-MAGA, anti-Trump. So I just put a couple of headlines on there, including new MN GOP chairman, quote, Republican Party does not equal the party of Trump. Another one, David Hand, I'll tell you something. I'm not a Donald Trump guy. The other two were about how in two separate instances, both David Hand, Kurt Dowd, and other leaders within the MN GOP did not want to deal with Trump. They did not want to visit with Trump. So that just goes to show that he is totally not with Trump, and especially considering the fact that Donald Trump is leading big time, we probably want a chair who likes him, or at least a chair who is willing to accept him as the nominee. The fact that he has such a dissatisfaction, I get, you two, more, Jake, you guys have some principled reasons for saying, we want more liberty out of Trump. What does David Hand want? He's saying this guy is too wild. Yeah. This guy is not establishment enough. This guy is going to rock the boat. That's what David Hand doesn't want. David Hand wants status quo. I bet David Hand wants Nikki Haley, if I had to guess. That's his type.
Isn't that interesting that, this is why I can't ever pretend to be like an anti-Trump guy, because the real anti-Trump, the Trump derangement syndrome people are the swampy creatures.
Exactly.
So they dislike Donald Trump for reasons that I actually kind of like Donald Trump.
Right, exactly.
My stances are more on the principles, like what's the difference to the Federal Reserve banking system? What's actually Trump, here's why he's better than a lot of the other Republican presidents, much better in foreign policy. Okay, I'll give him
100%.
that. But what about government spending? What about keeping Anthony Fauci? I'm not trying to rehash this. I know we've argued on this before, Jesse, and I clobbered you on it. But
no, well, you say that. Well, let's just keep moving on then, because Dawson, pull up the article again. So this is another flyer that I had out there. Under Hand's leadership, 0 statewide office wins, 0 U.S. Congress flips, lost 4-year control of the MN Senate, lost 2-year control of the MN House, and the MN GOP is broken in deep debt. So what did I say? David Hand equals Kevin McCarthy.
Which is a mistake by you, because it's State Central that probably likes Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, well,
your audience there, Jesse.
Hey, I can't help it if people are dumb idiot rhinos, right?
So, now you turn to Nosmic.
Yep, exactly. So the GOP will lose forever if leaders target and attack others in their party, follow the lead of patriots in the U.S. House, remove failed leader, and replace with a uniter. Find our Mike Johnson. So what I was trying to do there was just make the point that there is probably someone within this room here that we can all get behind, that we can all say, is a better conservative, that we think that we can all relate to, who isn't going to try to divide the party, who is just going to try to help us move forward. Back to the article there, Dawson, because...
He is a machine here.
Because...
Dawson, can you make it through this hour and a half? We already up an hour and a half.
I know, I'm trying to get through it.
Hold on. Are you good?
I started out saying that I was hungry, so I'm running on.
Can you survive? Okay. Do we need to let you get a snack break here?
That'd be dope, but Jesse's on a roll. I don't want to.
Jesse's on a roll. Okay,
yeah.
Keep it going.
I'm trying to. So that's the flyer that was sent out by William. And I got to give William Beck a lot of credit for this one, because I think that this was a very responsible, smart way to try to handle a situation like this. Because what is William doing here? He is saying that David Hand and Jennifer Carnahan are both unqualified, unacceptable candidates for the chair, which is exactly how I'm feeling too. I hear some of the people in Rebuild the MN GOP maybe like Jennifer Carnahan. I'm not a fan. So what I wanted to see was, let's try to find our Mike Johnson. I think our Mike Johnson could be on that list right there. I think there was lots of people on there. I'm not a fan of every single person on that list, but that's okay, because I'm a free-thinking person who understood what William was doing, and I think that he made a very wise move in presenting this flyer to the State Central, because even if it wasn't able to convince everybody, it was able to just say that, hey, I'm a free thinker trying to push my own thing, so I definitely give William some good credit on this.
Here's my thinking here, and leave it to William Beck to come up with this idea. Go back to that list, because is that...
Mickey Murray's on there. She's been in our comment section.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm, on Facebook.
Well, there you go. Then Mickey Murray's my person. Walter Hudson. To me, that's a good role for Walter Hudson, because, he comes from the grassroots ranks in the Tea Party era, and I find the guy, I like Walter, but he plays footsie with the establishment. So he can actually maybe be the one guy that can actually appeal to both, as long as he's fair. But I've never seen anything in Walter's past that would say he's an unfair guy. and he's very well spoken. So to me, you could actually get a uniter and someone that is far better at speaking than David Hand. Listen, David Hand's got to be one of the most boring people to listen to. There's a reason not to pay $65 to go to that convention. You're going to have to listen to his speech. How long was his speech? 30 minutes?
Well, they let him speak for probably 20 minutes. It wasn't on the agenda.
I feel bad for you guys.
Multiple times throughout.
Yeah, he probably spoke a total of 25 minutes.
Yeah, inspiring nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Walter would be my guy on that list. There you go. That's it. That's what they should do. If you had to, see, this is the thing this is why I just can't get too involved in it. Like, the parties are so corrupt. And thank you guys for fighting with inside the party structure, but it's like, have some common sense. Go with someone like Walter that actually could unite the factions of the party, right? Because, when they say unity, it's never actually caring about our side of the table. All they want us to do is get on board with what they're doing. But what they're doing is destroying America. Let's just be honest. They are destroying America.
Yeah, they want us to unify behind them and their aspirations of power. Like, that's
correct. Governing majorities, right? More.
Yep.
That's all that matters.
Yep.
Even if those governing majorities are shutting down businesses and locking you in your homes.
Yep. Even
as long as we have the damn governing majority.
Democrats, and as long as there's an R by their name, they must be amazing.
They got it. They got the governing majority. Yeah. Get on board with our governing. Oh, if I dare say it, 1930s had a governing majority too. It's not. It's clearly not the objective people have. Yeah. By the way, that's the great con in politics. Is you go up to a Republican and go, I need you to do this, stand for liberty. And they go, yeah, but guess what? The Democrats are far worse. I need you to support me so we don't get the Democrats, and they're much worse. And you go, okay, yeah, you're right. The Democrats are worse. And they just did the great con. They did a bait and switch. You're no longer forcing them to care about your issue. You're caring about their issue, which is getting them reelected. It's a great con in politics.
Yep.
It works all the time. Hopefully less now because we're exposing it. Go ahead. Sorry, Jesse. You're on a roll.
Yeah, let's keep going back to the article there, Dawson. So, and also there were people who were facing repercussions for using their free speech at this convention. As we had mentioned, 2 different delegates were kicked out of the meeting. In both cases, even before the rules have been established, they really didn't even have any kind of authority to try to kick these people out, especially because it's not like these people were trying to be rambunctious or anything. They were just speaking their mind, and apparently free speech is a problem with the Republican Party. And while I was distributing the literature on delegates to find a Mike Johnson-type leader to try to unify, there was an establishment pawn named Kip Christensen who started pushing me up in this auditorium. I thought, what the hell is this guy's problem? He was falsely claiming that I had no disclaimer, and he was trying to get a sergeant-at-arms to ban me from the floor. But I didn't back down, of course, so I...
Wait, you're saying no disclaimer on the William Beck piece?
On the Mike Johnson piece. So what do I do? I put the Mike Johnson piece right in his face, and I say, hey, you fucking retard, created and paid for by Jesse Smith, SD40 alternate. So apparently this guy, he got offended by my language. Oh my God, my language. Yeah, well, I'm more offended that someone would think that they have the authority to push, to put their hands on someone, especially when he has absolutely no merit to do so. My name is on the flyer. I'm distributing it, and it's absolute truth. I'm not lying about anything. David Hand absolutely 100% failed. So Kip Christensen, he was.
What's he?
I would really like to. I should ask him. I wonder what David Hand's ass tastes like because everybody, all these different establishment pawns, it must taste real good. I don't know what he's got on it, but there is something that is like swooning these guys over to kiss it and kiss it and kiss it. I don't know what it is. It's something I'm not interested in tasting it, but Kip Christensen, he's licking and eating all day long. So. Do you know what?
You would think Mark Bashofsky said when he invited Jesse to stage, he called him the star of the show, the star of the Truth Hurt show. I think he's right. I would have gone there. That was color commentary there, Jesse.
Yeah. But you would just think that he'd have a little more respect for himself, especially when committing. This is a definitional case of simple assault. I'm not going to pursue charges. I'm not a wussy. But I'm just saying that you'd think, and it's not like I was ever intimidated by Kip Christensen at any point ever. So it's like, yeah, I'd have a tough time selling a judge and jury on that one because I'm not, So that guy, he's just an establishment pawn who was, doing their bidding, and it didn't work because I stayed on the floor. He was begging for me to do something, wasn't going to happen. I'm too smart for Kip.
Sarah Ann says they tried to keep Drew from hitting him out as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that probably didn't go over well.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
probably
that's
Drew,
the thing.
if you think he's got passion, Drew has got passion.
That's right. William, Drew, and I, three different fighters who were just willing to stick it on the floor, and we didn't care who we were offending. Tommy Miracle, he got offended too. All kinds of people were offended by these flyers. Well, excuse me for my First Amendment right.
Bunch of snowflakes, huh?
Exactly,
Drew was giving Zach Duckworth the business.
Whoa,
Yeah.
On one
Dish,
of these, on the,
Dish. This okay. I guess you guys are right. This is much more entertaining. I am a little more entertained than the Facebook Purge. The Facebook Purge is by far more important news, but this is very interesting stuff. So, okay, I get it more. I understand it now. You were right.
Yeah.
Mark
That
Kroll
first
says, "Way to go,
motion.
Jesse."
Who's that?
Mark Krolls.
Oh, nice.
And
Appreciate
then Billy
it.
22 says, "Go man, go."
Oh, yeah. And so I
I
just
can't believe we don't have a Rumble rant for Jesse's legal defense fund when.
yeah, bring it on. But yeah.
Well, no. Hold on. We got a story here. What's the story of?
Well, it's real quick, but when that first motion came out to put the removal of Hahn on the agenda, it was, you rose to vote a certain way. So they said, if you want to have this on the agenda, stand up. So a bunch of us stand up. But of course, Zach Duckworth, senator, I think.
Yeah, he's senator.
He stayed seated, and Drew, like within a half a second, was in his grill, pointing in his face and saying, "You get your ass up. You're supposed to represent the grassroots. You represent the people. Stand up and get rid of this guy." And Duckworth would not move.
Oh, that's
Nice.
great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and just go back to the article, Dawson, just to wrap this up here. So I say here, unlike the previous attempt to remove David Hand, this removal was sent in well beyond 10 days in advance as required by the GOP Constitution and was served in person and electronically. Hahn falsely claimed that the removal was anonymous, even though every delegate had been notified immediately that it was filed by Larry Deuce and were notified of that fact by Larry Deuce. Hand's sleight of hand is in reference to other charges that were filed against MNGOP Secretary Jenna Dix and RNC Committeeman Alex Plekish, which were anonymous. But Hand was also caught shrugging and shaking his head no at the idea of being served, and he was misguiding the delegates from the undeniable truth. So what did I do? I decided I needed to go up to the microphone and try to set the record straight. So I went up to the microphone. I asked Osmic if removals had to be filed before a convention call is out, and how to amend an agenda that doesn't yet exist. So what does Osmic do? He avoids the question 3 times in a row. I have to continue to ask it. But Osmic, Hand, the parliamentarian, were experts at masquerading the Robert's Rules of Order as a tool to confuse the delegates from the truth. But really, eventually, he did answer, yes, you do have to have this submitted before the convention call is out there. That is not what the MNGOP Constitution says. That's not what the MNGOP bylaws say. That's not what the rules say. But apparently, that's his new interpretation of it. So, and I just wanted that out there for clarification purposes. But what's the truth in this whole matter? So the truth is simple. Larry Deuce is a patriot who felt the need to rebuild the party and allow us to win big in 2024. And the attempts to smear his integrity by the party were desperate swings at a patriot who was just standing his ground. I think it's absolutely crazy that the delegates have to be the ones who try to bury David Hand out of this mess that he has put us in. He's the one who has put us in debt. He's the one who's caused all of these problems. And scroll down there, Dawson. Yep. Another big thing that, David Hand doesn't want anybody to remember is the fact that he tries to convince Republican candidates that abortion should be a constitutional right. That's what the email says that David Hand put out there. He thinks that that should be the policy goal of the MNGOP, and that that's what legislators should be working towards, is to make abortion a constitutional right. So I don't know if he was telling Republicans to lie to voters. I don't know if he was telling Republicans that, this is what our actual position should be. But no matter what his intention was with it, it was very bad. So basically what my point is the $414,000 that are in debt to the party, I think that it's all on David Hand. It's not on the delegates. You guys don't need to feel responsible for paying that off, no matter how much they're going to try to pressure us. And, there was also one other big thing at State Central that I learned that, you guys might not know about this, but because I just found it out for the first time at State Central, but I learned, for the first time, Representative Danny Nadeau is a dude. I always thought Danny Nadeau was a woman. You know, I had always seen him, you know, and I'd see him at different events, you know, but I always thought Danny Nadeau was a woman. You know, he's got that cute perm and all that going on.
What did Danny Nadeau do?
You know, and I don't know. I just found out, you know, I heard somebody else call him a him. You know, I had no idea about that. So I've come to find out that Danny Nadeau is actually just a very feminine man, but he is a man. So that's... Good to know.
Is he anti-Trump? I don't even understand. What do you?
No, I'm not saying there's anything bad about being, you know, a real feminine, you know, type dude. You know, if that's
you
his
are
style,
unhinged. Holy cow! Osmond got one right.
You know, I'm just saying. I found out he's a man. You know, he's a very feminine, small man, but he's a man. Okay, Jake. So we can set the record straight because I always thought he was a woman. I found out he's not. So. The record is straight now. Danny Nadeau is a man. No matter how much we might think he's not, or you know, just by looking at him, you might think like I did. You might think that's a lesbian, that's a woman, but no, Danny Nadeau is a man.
Yeah, my look exactly, Dawson. I don't know where. Did you have a run-in with Danny Nadeau?
No. I'm just saying. I found out he was a man.
There's more.
There's nothing
I don't know
wrong
why you
with
want to
that.
answer the question.
I think actually he's going to appreciate that. You know, somebody is saying the record straight because a lot of people think he's a woman.
Never heard that before.
A lot of people are thinking that, so I'm just trying.
Oh man,
I'm you know a lot of. And I think a lot
you
of
are
delegates,
becoming Trump more and more by the day.
A lot of delegates
Danny
didn't know it
Nadeau,
either.
Little man.
Yeah, but he is a man. Okay, he's not a woman.
How are you so sure?
Yeah, I guess I can't be 100% sure.
Did we get through your comments? All your notes there?
Almost.
What did we miss? I mean, we already blew past an hour and a half. We're getting into Danny Nadeau's gender. Mm-hmm. Like literally, never heard that question before. So we're new.
You're not in the right circle. I hear lots of people.
Do you really hear?
Lots of people are asking, "Is that a guy? Is that a girl?" I don't know. So you know,
it was
I
all the
found
talk
out.
of the convention.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody was talking.
There you go.
Yeah, there was debate on the floor.
Well, I should know that. I was in charge of everything, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh my God! Let's go to the comment section here.
There's not a lot new, actually.
Oh yeah. What
Earlier,
else?
K-Wall,
What else is there to say at this point?
Mark Kroll says rolling on the floor. And then K-Wall earlier, when Jesse was going on through the article, said, need to clip that for the year-end highlight show.
Yeah, pretty much. You gave us the
Brad
worst
says,
visual.
Jesse, you sound like an idiot. Wow,
Yeah.
Brad.
Say that again.
Brad said that.
Brad said, Jesse, you sound like an idiot.
I think Brad's just messing with us.
Yeah, probably.
You know, you gave me the worst visual I've had on this show with that comment about Kip and David Hand. Thanks a lot for that. Jeez.
Hey, it's what he does.
We're not missing any. Everything was covered here. We got everything out. Man, okay.
I think we're good.
Yep.
Odd One says Jesse is unhinged. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yes, that's totally unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
Disruptor, right?
I guess so.
Okay. Yeah, I do stand corrected. That was very entertaining. I'll put it that way. That was. I really think there's some important stuff going on in this world, social media world, Facebook Purge, Twitter reinstating Alex Jones. But by golly, if talking about this crappy state central convention on Saturday wasn't the most entertaining part about the show, it made us go an extra 15 minutes today. We appreciate you guys. Rumble rants. Is it just me or Rumble rants going up in value? Like another $100 today? That was like unplanned, unforeseen. So, wow, that's kind of nice. I guess that's the Mort bump, right? If you missed our Christmas event, Eric Mortensen now part of the leadership team at Action for Liberty. That's the big announcement. After flirting with the chairmanship of the Republican Party, the fake news.
Yeah, thought long and hard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, real long and hard about that one. You sure? We'll be back on Thursday. We'll talk about Ukraine on Thursday. Zelensky's going to spend all week in Washington, D.C. trying to beg and plead for your money. Will politicians in Washington, D.C. sell out to this guy? And then I think we got to talk a little bit about this movement. Go to actionforliberty.com and go read our article about deer hunting. Okay, now this isn't just me bitching about not seeing deer in northern Minnesota or not seeing many deer. Especially not seeing bucks, right? But I leave the woods a little disappointed. So do a lot of people, but a lot less people because not as many license sales this year. So we got an article about this because, well, you know what? Pull this article up real quick. I just want to quickly alert you to it. But go to actionforliberty.com to read the story. But this group, Hunters for Hunters, and I think Razzle Dazzle mentioned this on a show a while ago about talking about Hunters for Hunters. Look at this crowd that they got in Aurora. And we know that more because that's Liz Lagarde's district. We went there on our tour. Scroll down. You'll see a big crowd. Look at this. They filled the gymnasium of hunters, fired up about the low dwindling deer numbers. And let's just be honest, the howling apex predator from up north is what a lot of people look at as the culprit behind it. So we'll get into that story, I think, on Thursday as well. So anyhow, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Truth Hurts, and we'll be back on Thursday. Take care.